If you've ever wanted a koi pond, a water garden, or a water feature in your yard, but didn't want to have to dig into the ground or couldn't dig into the ground because of rock or septic system or because you're in a rental property or whatever, an above ground pond is an excellent option. Here are the details of this pond build, which might give you some ideas of your own, and you can customize it to fit your situation. The new pond and deck will go here, which will give a nice view of the pond from up here on the upper deck too. Before I started this project, I had a few trees removed. They were hanging over the new pond area and looking sketchy. This particular project's a little bit tricky because it's being built on a slope. That can easily be handled though with some measurements and a good level. I go to the lumber store and make a grocery list of the pieces I'll need. I'm going to be building this pond with 6x6 treated timbers. The stacking will look a lot like this. The 6-inch treated timbers will be locked in place with 4-foot rebar spikes. I get a wood drill bit just a bit larger than the rebar. I have the wood delivered. That's a lot of lumber. This above ground pond system will be about 4,000 gallons, 8 feet wide by 16 feet long by 4 feet deep. Multiply that by 7.5, which is the number of gallons in a cubic foot, and we come up with 3,840. And add the filter system and we're around 4,000 or a little more. It'll have one 4-inch bottom drain, a surface skimmer for floating debris and leaves, and one water return. So I pick up bulkhead fittings for the skimmer and water return plumbing. These will get my plumbing through the liner and to the outside world with no leaks. And I order the 4-inch bottom drain and a nice 4-inch knife valve online, as well as the 45mm rubber pond liner. I'll be bringing all the filter equipment and pump from the old pond at the Woods house. This knife valve will allow me to shut off the water from the bottom drain to the filters. Obviously, check your area out and be sure there are no building code issues or homeowners association restrictions. First, I build the deck. I want to keep everything square with the house, and then I'll build the koi pond square with the deck. This is a great place to pop in the Raycon earbuds and kick back with coffee or a glass of wine and just enjoy your home and a favorite audiobook, podcast, music. I work with a lot of electronics in my business. I've also worked as a sound recordist on TV productions with bands, sports stars, interviews with movie stars, where sound is critical. And the sound quality of these Raycons are amazing and at a good price point compared to the top competition. The bass, the highs, the clarity, all solid and amazing. And wireless and so portable. Yes, I'm a fan. And a fan of the incredible 32 hours battery life. I'm an active person, hiking weird locations, crawling through caves, exploring, and very active at the house, so I seriously appreciate the protective carrying case. I tend to choose bright colors so I can easily spot it when I'm on the go. But Raycon earbuds and the protective case come in a variety of colors to fit your style, and they support wireless charging. I connect to my smart TV for an awesome movie experience too. Raycon earbuds block out unwanted sounds and let you actually hear the dialogue and nuances in music that make a movie engaging and great. Go to buyraycon.com/brandwood today to get 20 to 50% off. That's right, you'll get up to 50% off everything on Raycon's website when you go to buyraycon.com/brandwood. On this particular pond, since I'm building on a slope, I'm going to have to do some digging. But if your pond is on a flat level surface, you might not. I stake out the four corners of the pond and double and triple check to be sure everything is square and in line with the deck in the house. Water is extremely heavy, and water pressure can be extremely deceptive, very powerful. And a 16-foot span is a long span, so that's why I'm going with 6x6 timbers, because I don't want it to bend or flex. Don't skimp on your materials, or you might have a huge mess in your backyard. You don't want your pond walls exploding when you fill it up, like the issue this pond owner has. Since this pond is being built on a slope, I use some cement under the first timbers to be sure the base is solid and doesn't move. Obviously, it's critical that every timber is level. Once the base is solid and level though, all of the timbers stacked on top should be level too. Once I get the four base timbers in and they're nicely square and level, I make a drilling template with a piece of 2x6 wood. This template will ensure that all of the rebar holes I drill are in exactly the same place on all four corners of the pond. And so the 4-foot rebar spikes can be driven all the way down through all of the timbers. I'll only drill a hole in each corner to lock the four corners, and a hole about 18 inches down each side to lock the side timbers in place. I want the strength and integrity of the walls solid, so fewer holes is better. The rebar is plenty strong. The base timbers are spiked into the ground to ensure they don't move at all. These timbers are seriously heavy, so I get some mechanical help. And I make most of the cuts I need up by the wood pile, so I'm not trying to move and lift heavy wood I don't need. The timbers are 8 feet and 16 feet. But for the stacking, every other one gets cut shorter, so it goes together like this. I take a break from the work and go down to the lake for some relaxing fishing. Now I just start stacking the timbers just like the tiny model we made earlier. Each alternating timber is cut shorter so it will fit inside the full-length timbers, and I use my drill hole template to mark where the holes need to be drilled. Here's how it's looking so far. A nice, solid, strong, level pond frame is coming up, 1 6-inch timber at a time. I keep stacking and drilling where the holes are marked with the drill template. The drill holes are kept clean and open. And I test the rebar spikes to be sure they go through all the timbers to the bottom. I check level after every new stack to be sure everything is looking good. Here's the pond frame finished and level with the deck. Looking good. I drill one hole through the upper side so I can put a 1/2-inch overflow pipe through to let excessive rainwater drain out. This is the only plumbing hole I'll drill through these timbers, and it's a small one. I want these timbers to be strong and solid for years and years. The bottom drain and filter water return both go in through one little channel under the base timbers. And the skimmer piping goes here in the corner. For me, a 4-inch bottom drain is critical. It pulls all the fish waste and leaf debris from the pond bottom and into the filter. With an above-ground pond, though, every plumbing joint has to be solid. A loose pipe or busted fitting could drain your entire pond. I built a privacy fence next. The filter system and pump will go behind this. Now the 45 mil butyl rubber liner goes in. This thing is huge and super heavy too. To get the right size liner, I take the length across the bottom of the pond, then add the height of each side, then I add a foot to each side for overhang. Same with the width. So for this pond, I needed a width of 8 feet across the bottom, plus 4 feet for the wall height, plus 1 foot overhang, plus 4 feet for the other wall height, plus 1 foot overhang, giving me an 18-foot wide liner by 16 feet across the bottom for the length of the pond, and 4 feet and 4 feet plus 1 for a length of 26 feet. So the minimum liner I had to order was an 18 by 26 foot liner. Always buy a fish-safe liner. Roofing liners are toxic to fish, and your pond will be toxic for years. It's not worth the tiny savings. Once the liner's in and the corners are folded, I very carefully mark and cut the hole for the bottom drain. Dry the surfaces and put aquarium grade silicone or pure silicone around the rim. Don't use silicone with any mold guard. 100% silicone only. Then the 2 bulkhead holes are cut and siliconed. The bottom drain lid goes on. I drilled 2 tiny holes in the dome so air wouldn't get trapped and push the lid off. This bulkhead is where the water will return to the pond from the pump. I put it here so the rising water will pull the bottom pond water toward the bottom drain. Next, the filter system goes in. These vortex units were made in Britain, so the fittings are metric. The conversion was easily handled with these step-down fittings though. Next, I start filling the pond. The skimmer is assembled. The overflow pipe is siliconed in place. The whole concept of these vortex filter chambers is water spin. As water flows in from the bottom drain, it spins, forcing fish poop and debris to settle to the bottom of the filter cone. And since the water is gently flowing in through a big 4-inch bottom drain, the fish poop and other pond debris flows into the filter hole. It's not being churned up into tiny pieces by the pump. The pump will go at the end of these filter chambers. When the pond pump is at the beginning of the circuit or before the filters, it's just churning up the fish poop and debris into tiny pieces, like tomato soup, that pass all the way through the filter system and back into the pond. That's not an efficient way to filter a pond. As the pond fills, I gently pull out all the liner creases I can. Here's the skimmer installed. This will float with the water level, slowly pulling in stuff floating on the water surface. The knife valve in between the bottom drain and the first filter chamber. This is critical for doing any filter or pump maintenance. You can also close this and drain the filter chambers, then open it again and get a rush of water to pull leaves off the bottom of the pond. The valve for flushing the filter chamber. Everything at the bottom of the filter cone comes flying out. With the pond full and the city water dechlorinated, I bring the first small batch of koi from the Woods House pond, along with some of the filter media from that pond to jumpstart the ecosystem of this new pond. I'm using a submersible DC pump to move the water temporarily. Since I'm using the filter system from that Woods House pond here on this new pond, I'm moving the filter chambers and the koi a bit at a time because I want to keep the filter bacteria alive and also keep the fish alive, healthy, and happy for the whole transition. The koi are packed in bags with pure oxygen, just like they would be for shipping on an airplane or a trip to a koi show. This is how Leon was moved too, safe and secure. The excess liner is trimmed off. Now the new pond is ready for the wood caps. To cover the liner and make a nice clean rim around the top of the pond. I'm not using treated lumber for these cap pieces because I don't want any chemicals from the treated lumber running into the pond. So I use regular lumber, 2x10s, and I paint them with a waterproof swimming pool paint. These pieces are screwed in and the screw tops are covered with paint too. More koi are packed up and moved, a new group about every week. All 3 filter chambers are here now, and the trickle filter too. This is the water return. I wanted a nice, almost silent water flow for this pond, so the deck stays nice and tranquil. The skimmer running. This is connected directly to the pump and with a valve, so I can adjust how much water is being pulled from the skimmer and how much is being pulled from the filter system. So here's the finished pond, complete and running well. Here's what it looks like in winter. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.